And the interesting part is that the divide and conquer agenda has been so incredibly successful and subtle that we never saw it coming until now. And now it's full in our face. And it's fucked up because we've seen how at the end of it all, it's not about genders. It's about cruelty. It's about just bullying and meanness. And I could list again and again girls that have hurt young girls so badly that they committed suicide, and boys that were hurt so bad by boys, and then vice versa. So I was just scrolling, which is not a good thing. I should not scroll because this TikTok app is very addicting. It's addicting to create and it's addicting to watch. But there's so much knowledge and so many different thoughts. I mean, when you have 1 billion people on an app from all over the world with different types of points of views, it's pretty fascinating. It's like a smorgasbord of philosophies and experiences and a lot of different types of wounding being represented, and also a lot of people rising out of the ashes, coming out. So I saw a video of Mike Tyson talking about how he would never be able to find the kind of unconditional love his mother gave. Now, I'm thinking he's talking about his birth mother, but I don't know if you guys know, but he was adopted by Cus D'Amato, who was a boxing coach, and I know this because my twin was actually being trained by Cus D'Amato in Albany, New York. And so Mike Tyson was 12 when he was discovered. And my twin was there when he first walked into that gym, that famous gym. I'm trying to Trinity, I believe it was called. Anyway, so the point is, here he is. Here's Mike Tyson at the age he is now. He's done ayahuasca. He's done bufo. He's done medicines. And here he is talking about how he will never find a woman who will love him unconditionally like a mother's love. And I'm sitting there going, how many women have sat at the bedside of their men and many men were good men and many men were cheaters and so forth. But again, please, before you judge me, look at all my videos, okay? I'm a woman. I'm a human being. I'm not going to do all kinds of disclosure statements to explain what I've said in past videos about the divide and conquer agenda between genders. But in this moment of truth, I've seen women whose husband, in particular, let me just say, my own father, who cheated on my mother many, many, many times. And yet, when he had lung cancer, she didn't leave him. She didn't take him for a ride. What she gave him was unconditional love throughout the marriage. No conditions. Was there anger? Is there anger with a mother to her son or to her daughter? Yes. Even a good mother. So what is this thing that men are looking for? Unconditional love from a woman, the way a mother would give to them. And yet, millions of women have done it with no money in the bank. In other words, the man isn't sitting on $1 million or 10 million or 20 million or $100 million. And men who usually complain about that usually are asking for a certain look, a certain youthfulness. Mommy was children, nor did she give it, nor was she maybe hot at the time when her husband was passing away. She was ragged, exhausted, tired, drained beyond recognition. And it showed on her body and it showed in her face. So there's this weird idea that I guess you want a woman who is walking on the catwalk who is interested in a Birkin bag. Love Birkin bags, don't get me wrong. But Birkin bags and Hermes this and waiting lists on that and fashion shows and money, and can't go to a trip on the spur unless she has her foundation color shit like that men think is normal from women. High maintenance women are women who are fragile in their egos. Women who give unconditional love run the chasm of beauty, power, brilliance, discernment, vulnerability, and they want what you want. They want to be loved. They want to be the only one. And so I think it's kind of like the nerve of Mike Tyson. No offense, I think he's gone through massive shadow work, but I still know that he's surrounded by a bunch of idiot people that are grasping and they're full of shit. And I know this for a fact because you guys don't know this, but my father was friends with Muhammad Ali, and he had 28 people on the payroll, and my father kept telling him, you got to stop, man. You got to stop. You're going to, it's going to affect you, as you well know it did. And but as Muhammad Ali said to my father, listen, I've got a lot of people who rely on me. But unfortunately, he was surrounded by people who wanted the paycheck, and no matter what it costs him personally. That's not loyalty, and that's not love. That's conditional love based on how much money you bring in every year. And there are tons of women who are wired like that, just like there's tons of men who are wired to want a certain type of looking woman, a certain age. She can't be over this age. She has to be that. She has to be this. There's all kinds of conditions. And so here you have people who have these conditional desires for love, and then complain when they can't find unconditional love in a person who has conditions to be with you in the first place. I mean, that just, to me, the lack of common sense on that one blows my mind, right? And good women don't get in your face, just like good men don't get in your face. In other words, they're not brash, they're not swaggering. I've taught that with my son. I've said some of the best women are usually in the background. They're what they call the wallflowers. They're not in your face. They don't want attention. They're shy. They're trying to figure themselves out. And so if you want a good woman that's going to give you unconditional love, you've got to make some efforts. And she's not going to be the hottest girl on the beach in a bikini, who's actually looking for the biggest yacht and the biggest deal and the biggest sugar daddy. That girl is not going to give you unconditional love. It's going to be conditional based on how much money you have. And if there's another deal coming in with a bigger yacht, a bigger helicopter pad, a bigger billion, like 3 billion more, she will jump ship to the next guy. How the fuck are you going to get unconditional love for that when you're old, when you're sick? You're not. And vice versa. Vice versa, As a woman, if you want a man who's going to lift his finger and help you and do the dishes and wake up with you at 3 o'clock in the morning while your baby's having 102 temperature and taking turns to feed the baby, to give it lukewarm baths, to cradle the baby, walk the baby, to, sacrifice. All these things. You can be rich and still do these sacrifices. I think Vin Diesel just came out on top of my list. I always loved that man, but now I know why, because I just found out that his wife and him were living separately. They weren't really talking about it because he's very, very private. I admire that. And apparently something happened where she was really, really sick. She needed a blood transfusion or something like that. And he showed up, and now they're back together. He had to show her that no matter what, he loved her, whether she lived with him or not, whether they had a marriage or the marriage was going to fall apart or not. He showed up for her. And I talked about on the live today about how, we think it's normal to hate our exes. Like that's supposed to be normalized, to hate. And there are some exes, honestly, that are so toxic that, they deserve probably the rancor. But we shouldn't have to continue the hate, because they're really the only person that's being harmed for such hate and disgust with a partner you may have chosen that was never really a partner. They used you in whatever ways. and no matter what the gender, by the way, it's going to harm you in the end. That kind of hate, actually rots within you. It's not going to harm them that much. Whatever karma they're going to get, believe me, they're going to get, especially now in the 21st century. So it was interesting to watch Mike Tyson sitting back says, I will never find unconditional love like my mother gave me. And I thought, well, wait, hang on. Weren't you like somewhat on foster care systems? Weren't you kind of like, you've never really found unconditional love. Everyone wanted something from you. And so that was sad to me that he's not, I don't think he's surrounded by the right people who are giving him good, honest counsel. This is why you have to have a Doc Holliday or two. You got to have people that call you on your shit. Great movie on that would be Beckett with Peter O'Toole and Richard Burton. Watch that movie. It's actually based on a true story. And it was about two men who loved each other. One was a king, the other one was a cardinal. And when the king didn't want, his best friend who was the king didn't want to hear the truth anymore, he kind of like blacklisted him. But you always want to have a friend who will speak the truth to you, even if you don't like it. Eventually, you won't like it, but eventually, if you're honest with yourself, radically honest with yourself, you may sit on the right day, maybe 6 months later, and go, fuck, she was right, he was right. I did do X, Y, and Z, and I should repair that. But you should never, ever surround yourself with people who are your yes men. Never. Carlos Castaneda talks about, if you don't have a petty tyrant, find one. And the reason he says that is because you want to keep yourself grounded, and you don't want all these people who are kissing your butt, who are putting you up on a pedestal because of what you can give to them. There was another guy who I was just looking at, and hang on, let me share with you his name. Justin Waller, yeah. I see him sometimes on these TikTok, and he has this very arrogant, and I mean arrogant, and it's falsely arrogant because it comes from a place of vulnerability. It's not confidence, it's arrogance. And arrogance is not the same as confidence. You can be confident and still be a little vulnerable within yourself, and still be maybe, unsure about this about yourself, but very sure about other things that you're skilled at. But arrogance is where you think you've got it all together, every aspect of yourself, which is impossible. I don't think it's possible. Personally, But anyway, Justin Waller was talking about dark love. Dark love. And I thought, why would anybody call love dark? Why would anybody call being loyal to your mate dark? Dark love, you would do anything for that love. Well, no shit. If I love my son, or I love my beloved twin, or my high-level soulmate, or my mother or father, and I love them, and I'm loyal to them, and I'm loyal to this concept of love and familia and soul tribe link, then loyalty would be effortless in me, which means no matter what it takes. It means I would take a bullet for you. It means I would do whatever I need to do to ensure that you thrive, even if it to my demise. But it's not, there's nothing dark about it. And so he was romanticizing this concept of it's us against the world. Well, why would it be you against the world? Why do we always have to romanticize this concept that the world is against us, and that we need to literally battle down the hatches and, circle the wagons because the universe, right, aka the world, is against us, and that this is loyalty, and this is dark love. There's something like not mentally right about some of these philosophies, and I wanted to jump on and really ask you guys what you thought of it. What are your thoughts about some of these toxic loves? Because there's really this weird idea that this is normal, this is acceptable, this is good, this is what love is. So I'd love to hear, what is love to you? What does love mean to you? Hi Sarah, how are you? What does love mean to you? Does it mean anything that I've just described? Because I can tell you that to me, love, what I've just described as love, is not love. Dark love is not love. It's fucking dark, and it's toxic, and it's codependent. When you love someone and you're loyal to them and you'll do whatever. You'll give away your kidney, blood, whatever, whatever it takes for them to thrive, for them to be happy, right? And you feel so connected to the universe, to God, source, whatever you want to call it. And you know that most people are fundamentally good and want to help. And you make it your métier, your life, to attract only people of light around you. And then when you come across dark energies or negative people, it's not that you're running away. You know, you're figuring, okay, I'm facing a person that's massively depressed or somewhat toxic or massively toxic, and I will do my best to be kind and compassionate. And I will either be able to plant seeds within their subconscious or conscious mind, and I'll move on with my life. But this idea that you have to, a real love is just you and me, baby. Let's have some fabulous sex as the world is burning. It's like, that is some toxic shit. And so I just wanted to jump on and kind of share with you some of the things that you may be scrolling, because I'm sure if I've scrolled across Mike Tyson, you've scrolled across similar things on your For You page. And it struck me, here were two men who were sitting on millions of dollars, who could do some massive healing to themselves, for certain people in the collective who aren't as privileged or blessed as they are. And it's this whole, it reminds me of the movie Jerry Maguire, where this football player is sobbing, being interviewed, going, there's a lot of pressure with $50 million, and he started crying. It's like, dude, you have this opportunity to help probably millions of people through your influence, through your monies, your generosity. You have the opportunity, my God, to actually surround yourself with really high-level light beings. The fact that you're still not discerning, and you can't determine the difference between people who are hanging with you because you're giving them a paycheck, and finding true Doc Holidays, people who really love you and support you because of you, nothing else but you, and is sad. And what's interesting about these people who are influenced and by what we call they're handlers, they're called handlers, right, for a reason, because they handle them, and they keep away the people who really would be good for them, because it would actually supersede their influence very quickly, by the way. And so you can do these plant medicines all the fucking day long. You can do it every day for, every month if you want, because you have the money, you can do it. But that doesn't mean that you're going to get the wisdom and knowledge of true shamans, and also of the circles of people that you were able to experience this medicine with. In other words, people who don't have your money or influence, people who are in maybe your handler's book, the way they view people, nobodies, right? They call people like who have no names or influence, nobodies, right? So here are these nobodies who are probably some of the most scintillating, brilliant people. I'm gotten to a point where I'm so sick of celebrities. I don't give one fuck about a celebrity story. I'm just sharing you this one story because it came on my feed literally, I think 20 minutes ago. And I happen to know him through my twin. But let me tell you something. The people that fascinate me again and again are what most of these people would call nobodies. They're people like you and me who have amazing stories, amazing lives, and army brats, kids that have been raised in one-horse towns, people who are breaking out of their self-constraining ideas about reality, about who they are and their value, people who have never traveled outside of their country or their town or their state, and suddenly here they are in Tuscany or Ireland, and with very little money. They just went with a one-way plane ticket with a cat in a carrier and a fucking dream to change their life. Those people fascinate me. I think they're fantastic. I love hearing their stories. But to see privilege scattered with such disdain and such carelessness is shocking to me, because there's so much to do, especially right now, with any iota and influence that we each of us have, much less having that kind of power and influence. You know, the thing I learned about hanging with Muhammad Ali, and I'm not trying to drop names, okay? I could drop a lot of names, but it's not my thing. You probably don't know. My father was friends with him. But the thing I remember about Muhammad Ali is that he was unbelievably generous, unbelievably kind, and he was very passionate and irreverent, and people hated him for his what they call arrogance. And his arrogance was necessary at a time when being an African American man was actually, it was dangerous if you went into certain parts of this country, okay? And he was saying things and doing things that was necessary and cutting edge. We've had to have people like that. I'll never forget, there was a pilot, an American pilot in the 1970s who crashed in Russia. I don't know if you ever heard the story. There was a movie made about it called Foxbat. Anyway, I forgot the Russian president's name, Gorbachev, I think. He didn't want to talk to any of our American political, our politicians or ambassadors or diplomats. He wanted to talk to no one but Muhammad Ali. And they never talk about it. It's Muhammad Ali that got him out. It's weird. It's still not talked about. And try to find that in the news or even on the internet. As we know, the internet, unless you go to the archives of internet, which I'm trying to figure out how to do that, where whatever was published in the late 1990s, you can still find, even if it's disappeared. There's like a, you probably know what I'm talking about. But there's a way to actually look up things that are no longer showing up when you do a basic search on Google or whatever. But anyway, that's how respected he was worldwide. And I could tell you more stories, but, let's move on. So, but the thing about Muhammad Ali is you never saw him or men of his stature, which there weren't that many in those days, that would complain about not finding love. I remember I heard the story of him first being diagnosed, and he was very much in love with his wife. She was a beautiful woman, and he decided to divorce her. She didn't want a divorce. She wanted to take care of him. She loved him. But he ended up marrying this other woman who was a nurse. And I'm not saying he didn't care for her, but he definitely loved the wife he divorced. He left her because he didn't want her to be beholden to him and to take care of him, knowing what this disease was going to do and ravage him. And so I remember him divorcing her and marrying this other woman who I'm sure was very kind and very loving and loved him in her own way. But it wasn't the love he had for his wife, who he left. And he left her for that reason. He didn't leave her because she was, they weren't in love. He left her because he didn't want to be a burden. So, when I hear stories about men who have done this and that, having been a victim of masculine abuse, as well as having been healed by masculine light. And unfortunately, I hope that some of you have had masculine light in your life. But unfortunately, I feel like many of you have not, see, and that's what's concerning. And so for those of you who have had both masculine darkness that have harmed you and masculine light that has healed you and protected you and saved you in some capacity, try to remember that as the feminine, as the divine feminine. Don't go down the rabbit hole of some really great lyrics and really great anthems on female empowerment. I think female empowerment is very important. I think it's critical for men to understand what women, children, female children go through by toxic, weak men. But let's not roll toxic, weak men with all the masculines. Just like I don't roll all toxic, weak women who have harmed men with false allegations and so forth. You know what I mean? And that's what we need to keep remembering. We have a majority of people that are not well. Okay? Both genders represent this kind of illness, an inability to really understand what love is. And you've got people who just are totally motivated by money and status and watches and this and that. And it's been really pushed. The agenda's been pushed ever since I started seeing the emergence of that in the 80s with Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous, with Dynasty, and what was it, Dallas? I forgot the show. But anyway, cruelty started being celebrated then. And I remember seeing that in my 20s in shock, that some of the main characters who were cruel were celebrated and emulated. Like Gordon Gekko, right? Greed is good. So we got to be careful, you know? We've got to kind of go back to our true essence as a people who embody various genders, you know what I mean? And what it doesn't define us, our truest moral values and our kindness. Hopefully, I would say that if you dropped your body and reincarnated as the opposite gender, that your kindness, your innate vulnerability and generosity and sweetness and lightness of being would still, at this point now, with your growth and your expansion and your ascension, would continue on. That you would not regress to dark love and toxic love and, you know, and so forth. I mean, if a man really who's wealthy really wants love, right? Really wants love, you've got to be if you're the prince, you have to go amongst the people and become the pauper and really look for it without throwing your wealth around it. I mean, you know, you attract what you are. So if you are all about status and money and throwing your wealth around, then you're going to attract women who are into that, and you get what you reap, what you sow, you know what I mean? And that goes with women too, by the way. Every once in a bloom, I remember when I was 10 years old, I'd overheard my mom talking to a friend of hers about a woman who had a double mastectomy. She was a famous model in London. And the man said to her, I didn't sign up for that. Those scars really, I'm not turned on by you. And he left her. It was devastating. And I remember at 10 listening to that going, holy God, men leave you if you're not perfect. So we as women, young girls, women, have had all kinds of messages from toxic masculines. But let's not forget, we've had, and I know for a fact, like some of my girlfriends, I'm very lucky to have wonderful women who are very strong, very beautiful in their own right, very powerful, who, thank God, have had really good dads, good fathers. And through these friends, I've seen how beautiful these fathers are to their daughters. So it's not unheard of to have a father who's not just a good father, but a good man, a loyal husband, who will be there with his wife who is, perhaps dying of cancer or battling cancer or whatever, and will take care of her like that's his love. And he'll do whatever it takes to make sure she's comfortable, taken care of, and so forth. Unconditional love is something very possible for each and every one of us. But we have to look at our surroundings and who we surround, because, there's an old saying, you become who you hang with. So if you're hanging out with status-driven people, then you're going to attract people who are shallow and weak and toxic. And eventually one of your lovers will become that. You'll attract a potential lover partner who unfortunately, walks in that weird philosophy that, money is important, and status is important, and fashion is all of that is important, or because it defines them. They can't define themselves without those trappings. So your job, if you want unconditional love, right? I mean, let me put it that way. If I had the opportunity to talk to these kinds of men or women, right? I would say, put yourself on a budget, go backpacking. I'm not kidding. Go on a train, go all over Europe, then go to Bali, go to Africa. Act like you don't have a fucking dime. Put yourself on a budget. Maybe it's $4,000 a month. Maybe it's $5,000. I'm not kidding. And travel. And live the way people live. And eat with the people. Just like Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain was really cool because he ate where the people ate, right? He wasn't going to these, 6-star hotels and 6-star restaurants where they have a 6-month waiting list. He was eating with the people. And he was showing us how beautiful that was. My friend D Sunshine, I remember, he had a knapsack, literally. I'm sure, I think he had like two yoga pantses, probably 2 t-shirts and a hoodie. I'm not kidding. And a mala bead. That was it, right? And he was traveling. And he met some of the most extraordinary people because he wasn't protected by life, by the trappings and handlers. And to be honest, he was broke. So he wasn't going to be surrounded by wealth and prestige and all of that. But to be honest with you, he had a very authentic life, and he made some really deep, meaningful relationships with fantastic people who were friends for decades. And when I listen to these, like in this case, these 2 men, I'm seeing people who are very lonely, and they're not making no efforts to change that. It's like, if you want to have new people surrounding you, break away from these toxic habits of yourselves attached to these toxic people and take a sabbatical. And it's funny because they have the ability to afford this, or they could literally say, for 6 months, I'm just going to go backpacking and jumping on trains and taking trolleys and buses and staying at little Airbnbs or whatever, still comfortable, still kind of good, eating pretty cool food, and talk to people on trains and planes and on my walks. One way to meet people that are extraordinary is when you do the El Camino, right? So there's all kinds of ways to, like, if you really want to find love, genuine love, non-toxic love, loving people who are trying to explore themselves through visiting other countries and things of that nature. You make an effort. You break away from your habits. You go, you know what? Fuck this. I'm out. I'm not happy in this situation. Let me shut down my mansion and let me put myself on a budget and let me go traveling. I would say that to any young person trying to figure themselves out, by the way. And because it's a rite of passage for young people. And what I mean by young is, from 19 all the way to 30. And then if you've achieved massive wealth, but you're still unhappy and the fact that they're still not living a real, true, authentic life because they're surrounded by other people who are all about the status. You're going to only get that and nothing more than that. And so that's why you have to break away from your environment, like purposely. And if you have the money to take a sabbatical, I would say fucking do it. If you don't, then you're going to do what many of us have done, which is you're going to break away from your habits, right? And you're going to break away from people who are keeping you on a low vibration. And you're going to go within and do massive self-reflection, healing, journaling. Hopefully you can take a little 1 week, 2 week, or 3 week, or even a 4 week, getaway to Glastonbury or to Bali or to places that are cheap and where you'll meet extraordinary people and some assholes, peppered along the way. Of course, that's without saying. But at least you'll have an opportunity to shift everything in your outside environment and internally to put yourself in a way to meet brand new, fresh perspectives and new people, new friends. And I have to tell you that I've met wonderful people along my journey and my travels, and I've been able to really, create some wonderful friendships. Like with D Sunshine, I think I knew him past November of last year, but I knew him for like 25 years. So that's what's making me sad, is that it's actually pushing these 2 men's description of love, and that only, and this was he said, what was his name? Mike Tyson said, I just feel like I'll never find the kind of unconditional love that you would find from a mother. Well, that's funny because there are a lot of mothers that are toxic as fuck. And there was definitely no unconditional love, and there was definitely narcissism. So again, we're putting ideas on pedestals. And the first thing one has to look at is how can I give unconditional love to my inner child? And how old is my inner child? Is my inner child 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? How old is my inner child? And what and to give that inner child, that little girl or boy inside of you, unconditional love. You start with there. You start right there. And when you're able to somewhat master that, you're more likely going to attract someone of same frequency who's done similar work with themselves, where you become, it becomes your partner. If you're in a twin flame connection and clear you're in separation and that's not happening, then it's the same thing. If you're able to give your little girl, little boy unconditional love, eventually what happens once you've mastered that to some level of success, right? It's more often than not, you're like 80% of the time, you're able to show up for your little girl, little boy. When that happens, you're going to heal your twin remotely. It's remote healing, right? Through telepathy, right? And then at that point, at some point, they'll be able to walk towards you, back towards you with that realization. I had a client today who said that her twin is expecting a baby with another woman. And I had to tell her, you have a child, right? Yep. And so you were excited when you were pregnant, right? Yep. So it's normal for your twin to be excited over having a kid, right? Yep. And so maybe it's important for your twin to have a child with someone else and to have that experience and to become selfless and to have to get up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And to care for that child, to diaper that child, to bathe that child, to help the mother, whether it's giving the bottle or helping her pump her milk or whatever it is, right? Massaging her back, things of that nature. And I said, some twins, just like I have a twin, and I ended up with a high-level soulmate, had his child. Very happy I did. I don't regret one move. And I needed to have all of those experiences with my high-level soulmate, with my child, before I was ready to come into union with my twin. Does that make sense? I needed to do that. It was a soul contract predestined already. We weren't supposed to be together from the giddy up at a young age and to have children together. We weren't, or else we would have. We would have done it. And the reason why we didn't do it was because we weren't ready. He wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. And your story is not my story. So don't try to make this fit for you. But understand that the last thing you want to say about your twin having a baby with another person is that it's a karmic. Some of these connections are soulmates. Some of these connections are soul contracts that were never finished. There's unfinished business. Some of these soul connections are toxic and they're purposely put in front of your twin to eventually at some point choose themselves. I can think of one twin flame whose twin will not leave this very, very, very toxic. She is. There's no doubt. She's toxic, okay? Woman, because if he does, his children that he had with this woman will be victimized by her. So rather than do that, he's the buffer. He's staying there to raise his kids, to protect them, because she would not be able to raise them correctly. So because he loves his children unconditionally, and but yet he still loves his twin unconditionally, right? But he has to, he feels as if he has to make this sacrifice for his children. That's a man doing that, by the way. It's a man. He's not driven by his root chakra urges, is he? He's driven by something much finer. However, at some point he will have to make a decision. Or rather, the universe will make it for him. Because at some point, the soul contract he has with his children will change, will evolve, and he will be freed. That's what happened to me. That's what happens to many twins. So the last thing you want to do if a twin is having children with other people, if a twin has children with other people, is to wonder why your twin is happy to have a child, because you're damn right. I was very happy. I was excited. Oh my God, I'm pregnant. I never felt more beautiful in my entire life than when I was pregnant. Did that make me disconnect with my twin? No. It was a separate experience, and it was mine to have. And it was not to be judged by anyone else. And it would have been unfair to say that it was a karmic, like with rancor in the voice, with contempt. All it does is lower your frequency. I was talking to my son about some of the past lives he had today. He was telling me about some of the past life downloads he's having, and how there was a lot of revenge. And then one of the past lives, he said, where I actually unalivened him because he had unalivened my father and my whole village in an ancient timeline, where I was a warrior, he was a warrior, he was an elderly warrior, and he'd done some pretty rank shit. And I came in crying and avenged my father's passing, right? And what was interesting, okay, was that I realized as I was cooking in the kitchen, as of the conversations we have in the kitchen, imagine, I said to my son, you know what I just realized? That from in you telling me that, I've cemented the fact that there's no way in hell revenge, resentment, will ever be something that I will allow in my soul's progression moving forward. And I said to him, and what I know for a fact is that your battle with me is for you to let go of any sense of getting back at someone or revenge or anything like that. You have to heal that within yourself. And in you being my son, I was able to heal that. And in that moment in the kitchen, it was tonight actually, it was solidified. Where I realized, yeah, that's been a problem for my husband, me, my son, and my twin. This concept of revenge, this concept of getting back at someone, okay? Now, there were some times when it would have probably made sense in the ancient world, right? Like in Japan or Greece or Rome or Egypt or whatever, right? In the ancient times. But there is no place for that now. The last thing we want to do is to ever feel so angry at someone that we want to get back at them. We want tit for tat. That's the last thing. And that right there is unconditional love for many, many people. Many who won't deserve it, to be honest with you, but at least it frees you from any karmic ties with them. The tie actually dissolves and the karmic bond is done. The contract is done for life on that level of negativity. Okay, so it's interesting to look at unconditional love from its very infancy and to realize that part of unconditional love is giving it to yourself, massive forgiveness, and that means forgiving the unforgivable without harming yourself, because there's toxic love as well and toxic loyalty, which I've talked about in past lives. And you want to move out of all of these habits. Toxic loyalty is not unconditional love. Don't confuse those two, okay? Toxic loyalty gets to a place where it isn't good for you. It harms you. It makes you sick, okay? It can actually, it's put women in jail. You know, I'll give you an example. Women who will carry something from a boyfriend, they'll carry the dope or whatever for a boyfriend, and they're the ones that get popped on a plane or whatever, right? Or going across customs or whatever. That's stupid, toxic loyalty that have put a lot of women who've never broken the law in jail. So we have to be careful, So there's a lot of ideas, concepts, philosophies. You've got to get down and write down your moral values. And that will help you create boundaries for yourself, create boundaries for others, and basically solidify your compass in yourself, within your heart chakra. Okay? And that compass, which encompasses your moral values, will never waver, no matter what. So you can still give unconditional love without breaking your own moral values. And when you see it inking out, spilling out, bleeding out into the realms of toxic loyalty, you'll put a stop to it. Unconditional love never harms you. It benefits everyone around. It benefits you. It benefits your beloved. It benefits those who witness it, because it becomes a teaching moment for those who see it in action, right? And but toxic loyalty is doing things that you know in your heart is so against your comfort zone, and it makes you sick, and it makes you, it actually gives you anxiety. Yeah, you don't ever want to do that. It doesn't matter if it's your child. Even mothers can offer toxic loyalty to their child. And you can see that through history. You can look at and read, ancient history books on parents who love beyond love. And at the end of the day, vengefulness is so poisonous in oneself that you end up harming everyone around you. So when you give pure, beautiful, unconditional love to a being, say your partner is really ill, or you have a child that's really ill. I hope that's not your story, God forbid. But, or your mother, right? Or your father. And, you didn't have the best relationships, but you're loyal. You're loyal because you value the good that they gave you when they could. And you realize that everyone has shadows, and you realize that that your parent has a wounded child within them, and that in helping them heal or pass away, you're giving them unconditional love, you're giving them loyalty, and you're also giving you and your mother or father the opportunity to, bridge the gaps that kept you guys separated. And in addition, you're healing massive generational trauma. And so at that point, it's not toxic, is it? Because you're burning through piles of toxicity by giving sacred space to yourself and to your parent, for example, and helping them, cross over by having really good discussions, sometimes difficult discussions, sometimes uncomfortable discussions, but discussions that purge the pink elephants in the room that you guys never had the opportunity to talk about. I just thought of Bridges of Madison County. I don't know if you guys ever read the book or saw the movie with Clint Eastwood, and I forgot her name. But anyway, watch the movie. Watch the movie. It's fucked up, in my opinion, because she ends up giving up her life for her children, and her children only saw her as a non-sexual being. They saw her as mom, like she was nothing, like she was just the woman who happened to be the woman who gave them birth, who never complained, who was a foreigner from another country, from World War II, married an American, came to the middle of America to marry a farmer, had 2 kids, meets Clint Eastwood. Read the book or watch the movie, and they're looking through her personals and come across her diary, and realize that she was a woman with desires, with longing, and gave that up to be loyal to her children at the time that they were both teenagers in that movie. And you'll see it. Just check it out. Bridges of Madison County. And it's a beautiful story, but it's also, that's what I would call, I hate to say this to you guys, but it's toxic loyalty. It is. It's toxic loyalty. Because she and women like that were always told to sacrifice everything for everyone. And it harmed her. Because at the end, she had, in her whole entire life, she ended up having 2 days of bliss, maybe 72 hours of bliss. And that was supposed to sustain her for the rest of her life. That's insane. She wasn't going to leave 2- and 3-year-old kids. These were teenage kids. And she was not truly happy with her in her marriage. She was bored, actually. She was bored out of her mind. So again, we keep perpetuating this idea that a woman is supposed to give all of herself up. It's no wonder we're having the 4B movement, because young women, young star seeds, males and females coming through, being reincarnated, now in their early 20s, are seeing the bullshit for what it is, but it's still skewed. And what I found, this is what I love about Buddhism, is that we're now going from one spectrum of leave it to beaver bullshit all the way up to the 4B, and there's a middle way. And I'm hoping that we, as some of the elders, can try to show a middle way, okay? A way that's balanced between the masculine and the feminine, because we each have these gifts. This is why we incarnate as the masculine or feminine, because there's things we can experience in the masculine body that is going to be amazing, very freeing, very empowering, I hope, and then we'll switch roles. We'll go, in this incarnation, I want to be a woman. I want to give birth. I want to be made love to. I want to be protected. I want to be creative. I want to be a warrior. I want to be an Amazon. I want to be a man who sees me as an Amazon, sees me as a Shakti energy, supports, is a true partner, that means he diapers the kids. That means, Saturday morning, he's making a birthday cake. It's not to feminize the man. By the way, there's some weird shit happening. I'm going to be very blunt. In this country, that's not healthy. And one of the things that's not healthy is that this idea that men don't cook, and men in Europe, they cook. Everyone cooks, okay? Everyone fucking learns how to cook by the time they're 5 or 6 years old. And I've met people where men, they actually fucking don't know how to, I'm like in shock. Like, seriously, you don't know how to cook a roasted chicken? Are you kidding? Shit. And so they don't know how to do their own laundry. It's weird, because I think some of these issues are mothers not raising, I'm gonna blame it. Mothers are not raising their boys to cook, to clean, to iron a shirt correctly. We're responsible, just like we're responsible with having our women, our young daughters, value themselves and honor their intelligence, their brains, their beauty, and to teach them about some of the great, great women of ancient history and how they were able to use beauty and brains to lead, to become leaders in their own right. Eleanor of Aquitaine, Joan of Arc, Cleopatra, Nefertiti, Elizabeth I. I'm missing tons of other women, honestly. Marie Curie, Camille Claudel. Camille Claudel, to be fair, that's another story. I shouldn't have brought her up because she actually went insane. She didn't go insane. She actually was shit of the bull. She was tired of the bullshit. If you look at women in the 20th century, first, which would have been, Frida Kahlo, and I'm trying to remember some of these women, mostly movie stars, but mostly also, I'm thinking of the painter Frida Kahlo. There was a lot of feminine, Georgia O'Keeffe. When you look at women from the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, they had to be ultra independent, it was the big fuck you to the masculine, to the patriarchy. They had no choice. And Katharine Hepburn, for example, is a good example. And yet, even though she was very, very ultra independent, in a way she wasn't with her lover, who I think, I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about, but Katharine Hepburn had a love affair for something like 30 years with Tracy, I forgot his name. He was married. He was Catholic. He wouldn't divorce. But of course, it was okay to have an affair. But you had these women, and Frida Kahlo was fucked over by Diego Rivera. I believe it was, right? And then you had Picasso. And Picasso was a massive, toxic misogynist. But we've forgotten other men who were you call them no names, nobodies, right? Who really were good men. Really, really extraordinary men. And we keep forgetting that. There's a painter that was Spanish who was very much in love with his wife, who's a very famous painter, and I forgot his name, shit. But he used to always paint her. And he ended up dying, I think, of consumption tuberculosis. And he adored his wife. He was loyal to her. He painted her. She was his muse. And so what's amazing to me about how people love, whatever gender, I refute the concept of dark love. I would never call love, loyal love, unconditional love, dark. To me, it is of the finest light. It is light. It is the closest love that we can attain, closest to the source that made us, right? And there's nothing dark about it. And the last thing you want to do is feel so paranoid in your dark love that you feel as if the world is against you, that it's me against the world. What you want and what we want and what we're trying to co-create with the universe is to co-create a world where we have communities where we all protect each other and we all love each other. We care for each other. Of course, we're going to have arguments. We're going to disagree. There's going to be competition. There's going to be this and that, but it will be worked out because our consciousness will be from a place of abundance and generosity and trust. And to see these influence, these highly rich, quote unquote, I'm going to put in quotation marks, successful men talk about love like that is sickening, because I've had men that have sat across from me who were clients who loved their woman so fully that they couldn't imagine anything else, and they wanted to feel abundant and safe in loving their woman, that the woman that they loved. I can think of one man who's very, very, actually incredibly brilliant, incredibly talented, has done a lot of shadow work, still continues, and his twin is got the masculine energy in her. She's the runner, and she's masculine in the way she brings about this concept of logic and coldness and removing her heart chakra from the equation. And I remember, I'll never forget, he called me and said, we're in union. I was so happy for him. But guess what? He called me back and said, she ran again. I must have done something. I must have done something wrong. Do you know how many people say that to me? How many clients come to me saying, I did something. I'm like, no, that you didn't do anything wrong. Well, I must have said something. No, you didn't say anything wrong. Well, how do you know? Because you just told me why they ran. And you didn't say anything wrong. They're running because they're overwhelmed by how they have to show up in their light for you, for themselves and for you to be in union. And because they have so many shadows in them, that is so clogged in them, and because they can't give themselves unconditional love, much less you, forget you, but themselves, that they're not a vibrational match. And it shakes them up to their very core. The sensuality, the sexuality, the intimacy is so good. It decalcifies the root chakra and fucking has them running. And longing for you as they run, and regretting and self-hating as they run, and as they block you or shut you down. See, that's dark love. It's dark. It's small. It's mean-spirited to the twin running and to you, the chaser or the waiter, whatever the hell you are. And so in the dialogue of these gender-hating scenarios that we're seeing right now, and the twin-hating dialogue that is happening with like Twin Flame Universe and shows like on Netflix and Amazon and all that shit, and the level of shit being sent to people like us, the nobodies of the world, who are actually the most powerful of all. You don't think you could have chosen to be a Kim Kardashian, a Paris Hilton, a this or that, a Ivanka? You don't think you could have incarnated for that? You don't think you were that? You've been that. But this time you say, yeah, don't give me the bells and whistle. Don't give me that bullshit. I'm here to learn shit. I'm here to get shit done. I'm not here to have my butt kissed and to have a closet full of bullshit and a mansion in every city. I'm here to do real work. And that's not to shame people with wealth. It's to say, I've noticed something. the people who really, really have wealth, mentally, spiritually, and in the material world, are massively generous and know that it's a responsibility. And they don't shelter in place away from the mob, meaning us. They don't build $100 million hole in the ground like what's his name, Zuckerberg, when they come from a place of refined, spiritual, self-realized consciousness. $100 million would never go into a hole in the ground. $100 million would go to, my God, Berkeley is crashing with homelessness. My $100 million could actually stop homelessness in the city of Berkeley overnight. Overnight. Right? That's the consciousness of a generous light being. And that's not what we're having. So when you look at yourself and you think to yourself, what am I going to say? What do I have to share? What is my value? I'm not ready. I'm not ready till my twin comes to me. When me and my twin are together, I will come into my mission. Yeah, that's all bullshit. All bullshit. You have to look at yourself and say, I am my twin. I am my twin. And in being my twin, what I do for me, what I feed myself spiritually, feeds my twin remotely. And if that's true, then I must be in my light as often as I can and walk into my mission. And eventually my twin will either be 5 steps behind me and eventually walking beside me. You know? But don't forget, one of you is going to outsurvive the other. So at some point in this journey, you or your twin will not be in union because one of you will drop your body before the other. That's a real reality. So what are you going to fucking do then? Oh, I'm off my mission now because, my twin passed and I can't continue. Yes, I could see that happening for a year of grief. It's healthy. You should give yourself some time. But eventually you should move on and continue the journey from a transformed state and continue probably more intensely in meditating and connecting with your twin on the other side. To continue the work, to continue the purging of what's created the dynamics of the running chasing for centuries and centuries and centuries of separation. That would be a hell of an opportunity, right? So that's what one has to look at. And that's important. But when you're scrolling and looking at these famous people who are giving us advice on love, like I don't know why people are, I'm mentioning people I usually never mention, right? And it's not to put them down, but it's to say to you, if you're really interested in these stars and you feel like they have a magic fucking wisdom that you don't have, I'm going to put you on notice. You're fucking more interesting than they are because I'm watching many of you. In fact, some of you I don't even know I'm following. I just don't know. I just follow people that interest me. I follow people who I never see their face. They're showing me New Zealand every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. Or I'm following someone and their dog or their cat. I'm following someone who's talking about how they're starting their business or how they're remodeling a house. I'm following people who have massive philosophies on wonderful ideas that are cutting edge. I'm following people who are artists, who are painting, sculpting. I'm following poets. I'm following people who read other people's poetry in the most mellifluous voices. I'm following people who tell me how to grow their hair because they have a way to say it. That's I don't give a fuck what Matthew McConaughey had to say. I don't care what Paris Hilton has to say. I don't really give a shit about Madonna and her aging issues. And I really don't care about Cher, though I think Cher's pretty cool. She's had her life. There's not one famous person that I can look up to. Not one. I can't think of one. All the people who I admire are authors, artists, poets, philosophers, and what they call nobodies. And I look up to them. When you look at Dolores Cannon, here she was, talking about all of these experiences, decades of her, working with people all over the world, doing hypnotherapies on different people, and excavating Yeshua and excavating Nostradamus and trying to break the codes and understand the quatrains. And holy fuck, this woman was amazing, right? I look at Michael Newton and actually, if you've ever seen Michael, beautiful looking man, like beautiful, but wow, humble, and fell upon, was an atheist, and from his hypnotherapy and developed LBL, lives between lives, and nobodies, right? Who were so fascinated by other human beings as they excavated other people, right? Like, I love hypnotherapy. I love doing it with clients. It's like my passion. But it's like interesting, the stories that come out of most of these people, that are not famous, that are in their own right incredibly powerful, and have so much wisdom and have had so many lives. I'm going to repeat to you a story that blew my mind. It was this woman who had a past life like 3,000 years ago. I'm not sure. I think it was Greece. And she chose her man over her family and her village's idea of what she should love and how she should love and who she should love and why she should love or whatever, right? So she ran away. She eloped, okay? And in this past life regression, she talked about this relationship with this man. And I said, how did this affect your children and any generations thereafter? And she said, my decision benefited 5 generations. And I remember asking, 5 generations? She goes, yes. In other words, me choosing to love this man was so important for me to choose love over fear, over duty, over expectations from other family members, that it literally 5 generations were impacted and benefited from that one decision between one man and a woman impacted 5 generations out. And I said, what did you learn? What aren't you doing this incarnation? When she woke up, she came back and we integrated all of that. I said, what was the purpose, do you think, of that past life? She said, I needed to understand that I can't keep doing what people expect from me and I have to follow my heart. I go, bingo. Hello. Yeah. Isn't that a fabulous story? A lot more interesting than P. Diddy and his bullshit and his weird deviant shit, or all these other people that just want to tell us about, the dark secrets of Hollywood, right? I mean, it's not like Mel Gibson. Oh, yeah, here's a guy who I do actually admire. Mel Gibson. Totally outlander, for real. Because every blue moon you'll have one of these people, right? Who will actually kick the doors down, right? But for the most part, your stories are much more important. And it's what I feel is sad is that even though I told her that is a fucking amazing, there was other things that happened in her past life, but I said, this is so amazing. Please do me a favor. Please promise me that you'll talk about it, because that story can heal a lot of people. And I don't think she has. Not yet. I hope she will. I hope she shares that. I said, you've got to share this on TikTok. You got to share this on Instagram. I don't care what the fuck you share, but share it. And I know that if she has, she would have sent me a link, and she hasn't. So some of you who have done hypnotherapy with me, or who have done some Akashic readings or whatever, please start sharing your stories. I had one client whose daughter, by the way, twin flames run in families. I'm not kidding. It does. But anyway, not often, but it does, okay? So anyway, this client said, look, I think my daughter is in a twin flame journey. So she sent me her daughter. I've told you guys this story before, but I'm going to tell it to you again. And so she had made love to her twin. They were both like, very, very, very young. And then made love, and it was amazing. And then suddenly they exploded out of each other's arm. Like within 10 minutes, they both started freaking out. So they had a somatic, past life memory. And as we were talking, I was getting downloads that she had been in a harem. I was see my monkey mind where I was saying, harem, how the fuck was she who the I said it's not a eunuch. It wasn't a eunuch that who was your lover. That's not it. There was somebody. How the hell did he get into this harem? There's no way. And after we finished our call, there was more that ensued in that conversation, but regardless, after we finished the call, an hour later, I got the download Janissaries. I looked it up, and Janissaries were a special group of, think of them as Green Beret or Navy SEALs, right? And Janissaries were usually, I don't know if you guys know that, but during the Ottoman Empire, they used to pirate a lot of European ships, and many of the women in their harem were from Europe, Ireland, and so forth. I don't know if you guys know Asia and so forth. So there was a huge mixture of different races in these harems during the Ottoman period. And the Janissaries were European men, boys that they trained to be elite soldiers. And somehow her and this man, who was a Janissary, were making love, and they got caught. And what ensued was pretty bad. In fact, it was so bad, it reminded me, I got the download of the movie with Kevin Costner called Revenge. If you've ever seen that movie, yeah, watch it. And when I said, I need to call you, is it okay, can I call you? Because I just got the download of what this was, who he was. And I called her, and we talked, and I said, he was a Janissary. And she said, what is that? I went, well, the Ottoman Empire. She went, oh my God. And I went, what? She went, when I was 13 years old, I did I had a report to do for the year. It's like a very special report. And she said, my report was about the Ottoman Empire. I went, no way. So that's what their connection was, and their twin flames. And they have to heal that. And when they came in union intimately, the root chakra calcifications of that end, which was very traumatic for both of them, was ignited as a somatic memory, a soul's memory. That was ignited through the root chakra, right? And that was so intense that he's running from her, not because he doesn't feel the connection, but because he can't wrap his head around what the hell this is. Why does he feel so connected to her? And why is he actually shaken to his very core? Right? Why? And yet, whenever they see each other, he can't stop staring at her. By the way, on the side note, she's a very beautiful young woman. But that's not it. He stares at her because they're twin flames, but he also stares at her because he can't figure out what the fuck was that? What is that? And the sad part is she can't tell him. She can't tell him because he's not ready. And if she did just run and she was impulsive and said, this is what this is, he'd run even harder because he'd think she was crazy. So she can't tell him. It's impossible. So I had to tell her, look, when it's time for him to be ready to hear certain truths, massive truths, and because he is your twin, and because you both are starseeds, and because you're both in your 20s, you're both born in the 21st century, he will wake up. He will wake up. He'll be ready to hear your truth because other people will come around him to ignite him on other alternative ways of understanding reality and the soul and reincarnation, so that by the time you're brought back together, you'll be able to tell him what it was. And at that point, he'll be able to accept it, because he would have already had his mind blown by other things that are not related to you at all. Because we incarnate with our soul tribe members, right? I hope you know that. So you might have 15 or 20 of us, right, that just come in, and well, you'll be this, you'll have your experience, I'll have my experience, we'll meet when I'm 20, we'll meet when you're 30. We'll do this, we'll do that, right? And that's how it goes, yeah. And quite often, we do incarnate in groups. And to be honest, sometimes we don't at all, because I have past life memories where I don't remember seeing any soul group members. So either some of the endings of some of these incarnations were so traumatic, and this does happen where some of us would jump back into lives into incarnate. We didn't care. We like, yeah, whatever. And we would push aside our guides. We wanted to incarnate back because we thought that we could actually run back into a body and somehow that would reunite us with people we love, which was a massive mistake. That's not how it works. So we would jump into new reincarnation, new bodies. And so now we have the ability. That's a beautiful story, so much more interesting than these plastic prophets. There are a lot of, thank you, that's a good term, plastic prophets. Yeah, there's a lot of that. And it's unfortunate because it's not bringing people to knowledge. Hi, Tony is late here in NC, North Carolina, so I'm going to sleep soon, but wanted to say hi. Oh, thank you, TF. I'm sorry I didn't see yours. Sorry, you guys, I love you all, but understand when I'm talking, I'm looking away from the message, and I apologize for that. I don't look down at you guys. I actually look away. And I look away so I can actually, because I'm, thinking about what's coming through. And so that's what happens. Thank you, Andromeda. So, and all of you. So, what's interesting about what we call the mundane lives, what's extraordinary to me is that right now none of us are having mundane lives. Because though we may be punching the clock for a job, or as a doctor, as a psychologist, as a cop, as a bus driver, as a whatever, right? As a litigator, whatever the hell you're doing, right? Teacher, educator, therapist, whatever, right? The thing is, we're in the trenches with the masses, if you will, so that we're not out of touch with the day-to-day grind that would make your average human being or above average human being disconnecting with their ability to wake up. And when they're awake, how difficult it would be to punch the clock and be self-aware that XYZ is happening in my internal awakening and ascension, while the mundane fuckery is happening around me, and it doesn't seem like I have a lot of powers to change anything or anything at all. And what's interesting about this philosophy is that when we also are all in the trenches, meet people like that in conversation, casual conversations that turn into deep, meaningful, esoteric conversations, we can actually heal them in a 2-3 hour conversation on a train, on a bus, on a plane, in a restaurant, standing in line for a coffee, whatever. We can have these meaningful conversations that sees a new consciousness in them, and realizing that you can do both. You can do both, and eventually you can bridge yourself out of whatever you feel entraps you, right? In the cycle of punching the clock, into a more heart-centered business. I was just telling Andromeda Flame, I bought this magnesium spray. Hang on, I'm going to tell you the name of it. Hang on, okay? Because but I'm more interested in telling you about the story of the girl. So this magnesium spray is called Come Alive Herbals, right? It's called a topical. You might have seen her. She's got dreadlocks, blonde girl, very, she's a cutie pie, right? So it's magnesium mist, Come Alive Herbals. Look it up. Ylang ylang, geranium, and cedarwood. I spray this. I sleep like a fucking baby. Let me tell you something. I've tried some shit from what is it? Amazon? Nothing. A joke. This chick makes this particular magnesium, and there's a higher concentration on magnesium. Regardless, the story was what got me. It wasn't what she was selling, the glass bottle that she was holding. It was her dreadlocks. It was the seashells in her hair. It was the fact that, I didn't know she lived in Costa Rica, but she does. It was the fact that there was joy in her face. It was the fact that she was showing her packing her stuff. I saw her, I follow her actually, and I saw her for like months. You don't hear her coming on my feed For You page, whatever. And then I listened to her story, and she's successful. She's selling, she started her business selling just this, one bottle at a time, until it got to be 100,000 bottles and probably 500,000 bottles. And then she added more product. My point is, but it was her story. It was her lifestyle. It was what she represented to me. It was her joie de vivre. It was her confidence that she was doing something for the greater good. It's a heart-centered business which she's got. And I was talking to Andromeda Flame saying, some of us, it's all we need is one product. It's like, and we're set. But she did it with joy. She did it with love. She's still doing it with love and joy. And apparently there's the last FYP thing that I saw. I bought this bottle like probably 2 weeks ago, and I got it a week ago, and I started spraying the bottoms of my feet, my legs, and so forth. And I'm not getting any money on this. I'm not plugging this. I'm just telling you that it was her story that got me interested in her product. If I'd seen this, she ended up in Vogue, right? If I'd seen, first of all, I don't buy Vogue. I don't give a shit about Vogue. I used to, but not anymore. I used to when I was 21, right? So here I am, and here she is on Vogue, which is great, good for her. But it was her story. Like if some other, like if Kim Kardashian had said buy this, I probably would have ignored it. Because I don't give a shit about Kim or Cleo or any of these people or J-Lo, or I don't give a fuck about any of them. But I do care about this girl. I went like, wow, she's really cool. I really want to support her. And wow, I don't think she's full of shit. I think it probably does work. You know what? It's $50. I'm worth it. And I bought it, with the shipping and blah, blah. And I'm so glad I did, because it actually fucking works. So I bought something from a person who has integrity, who has a heart-centered business, who has it in glass, not plastic. The other person I started buying stuff from was Moringa oil. It's called Ritual. I don't know if you follow this guy. I forgot Ari. His name's Ari. And I started buying his moringa oil with blue lotus flower, infused with blue lotus flowers, like 5-6 years ago, because I loved what he was about. I loved his philosophy. I loved him walking and talking and just being a divine masculine, albeit probably polyamorous, but what the fuck? He's not hiding it. He's totally pretty out there. And when you get a box from it, it says, from love from Ari. It'll actually say that with little hearts if you buy from him. And my twin loves his oil. It's moringa oil infused with blue lotus. Oh wow, love blue lotus tea before sleeping. Me too. His blue lotus I buy from him because I know they're real blue lotus and not some lotus flowers sprayed with blue ink or whatever. I know for a fact that that's going to be blue lotus in my teacup, right? So I buy from him. So every 6 months I'll buy a little stash, a little haul, right? And again, it was my girlfriend who's really into medicine. She's been in the jungles of Peru and the jungles of South America to do medicine. And she turned me on to him. And I said, wait, hang on. I think I know who you're talking about. And sure enough, it was Ari. So I tend to buy from people who have heart-centered businesses. And it takes me a while to finally pull the trigger, if you will. But that's what I do. And I'm fascinated by how they think, how they vibe, what they're saying, their joy, their gratitude to be on this planet, their ferocity, their passions. I buy from people like that. So I think that for you out there that's trying to figure out what shall I do, and when the universe blocks your way, like when my book Recall got banned by TikTok, right? And when that shit happened, I'm realizing, well, I'm being divinely guided to something else, right? And so I'm allowing. I'm not really promoting. I'm really not making any efforts to promote the book. So what I'm realizing, to be honest, and I've been sitting on a healing book for years, and it's a healing book with instructions, with exercises and all of that, which I'm not even going to attempt to sell on TikTok, and I'll tell you what, because I'll ban it as well, because it's very raw, but it's needed. And so this book, I know I'm being pushed to do it. I've been pushed to do it. So I have to finalize that book. And and there are other things I have to write about. And so I'm being guided by the universe to other things. But ultimately, like, I look at people and I think to myself, like, what, I'm not thinking, what are you selling me? I'm thinking, wow, what's your message? Like, what got you here? Why are you, what brought you to this level of, wanting to heal people through these, these products, or this book, or this, or the messages that you impart. I'm trying to think of someone else who really inspired me. Like, I have, yeah, one of the things I was going to share with you also is, for example, my shaman drums come from Magdalena. Her business is called Naya Moon Art, right? Naya, Naya Moon, Moon Art, right? You can look at her on Etsy, but look for her on, excuse me, look for her on Facebook, okay? Because, or else you'll be paying Etsy money. But the point is, I followed her for a year before I ever bought anything for her. I was just watching what she was saying, what she was doing. Again, a Polish woman, blue eyes, dreadlocks, painting buses, shit like that. She's an amazing artist, and she's a shaman, and she makes drums, and she paints them, and they're magnificent. And finally, one day, I commissioned a drum for my son. It took me 1 year of following her. So I'm sharing with you that buying from someone, or buying service or product, whatever, from someone you follow, someone you connect with, is probably much more fulfilling than, say, going to Macy's and buying a dress, when you might find someone fantastic in the UK who makes dresses, right? Out of linen or whatever. And yeah, it could be $60 more, maybe instead of being $100, it's 160 or whatever. But there's a story behind it. There's the soul, there's this beautiful energy behind this person. And to me, it's not quantity, it's quality, right? Don't you think? So that's how I found all the people that I've worked with, starting in 2014. I started asking people, who's your shaman, or who would you recommend, and things of that nature. And it was where anything has been word of mouth, or I stumbled upon them and I developed a relationship from afar. And that's when I started, buying their product or whatever, yeah. So that's the philosophy I have regarding consuming products. And let's see here. So let's do an oracle reading. I feel like doing an oracle reading. I was really, really looking forward to doing that for you. And so hopefully you're there. And again, we're going to stay with Earth Warriors. I don't know if you saw my tiger, my diamond tiger of the black moon video that I uploaded. I will upload the Atlantis conversation I had today. I was going to do numerology today, but you know what? I had to take care of my twin. There's a lot of challenges going on right now, which I will not share in detail, but suffice it to say, be happy you're healthy. That's all I gotta say. But so you know the drill. Give your angels, guides, and allies permission to guide you. And when you're ready, pick from the top, bottom, and middle. Majority wins. Top, bottom, or middle when you're ready. All right, Andromeda. Thank you, Poodle Pup. And share the live if you feel like it would benefit. Bottom, middle, top. Jesus. Top. One more. One more. Top, bottom, or middle. All right, I'm going to go with top. Okay? Going with top. Okay. So top is 21. That dairy, hearing truth. Wow. Hearing truth. So this shows a woman who looks like she's Tibetan, and she has a white dove flying from her head. And it's almost like it's a very Ikaros kind of a drawing. Ikaros, So it's very, what's the word? not, it's very dreamlike, is what I would say. All right, let's begin. Daderi, 21, hearing the truth. 21 is, I believe it's the star of the Magi in Kabbalah numerology. It's a wonderful card. And I believe if I'm on it, 21 is the world card, which is the end of the cycle, the beginning of a new cycle. There's a deeper truth that shall bring peace to your heart, offering your guidance, comfort, and renewal. You are guided to turn within for your answers. Do not allow another to interrupt, influence, or distort your personal, trusting relationship with the divine. Allow Spirit to be your highest counsel always, and you shall never be led astray. You shall know the words to speak and the consciousness to hold to evoke healing and set things right. Listen, for deep within, truth is known. Wow. Inner reading. Focus on what you know to be true by tuning into what you feel and not focusing on appearance or the opinions of others. I can't believe we just had this whole talk about appearance, about... This is unbelievable. I love this. The voice of Spirit is deep within you. Anytime you want or need guidance, you have the ability to tune into that inner voice for peace, comfort, and clarity. It takes courage to turn within rather than to put faith in the people and things of this world. But you have enough inner strength and wisdom to do this. The truth within has been spoken. Trust that you can hear it. Spiritual guidance. In the Ngirukuru and Ningangimiri languages of the first people of Australia, Daderi is a spiritual practice of reflective and respectful listening. This listening goes beyond spoken words. It is perhaps the way shamans hear with the soul. That's interesting. I'm going to read this to you guys again. Listen to this. This listening goes beyond spoken words. It is perhaps the way shamans hear with the soul. So, to really hear someone, and this is difficult. Okay, it's a skill set, it's a discipline. When someone is talking to you, sometimes it's not a bad idea to close your eyes so you can hear them on a cellular level. You're not listening to them to figure out what to respond to. You then open your eyes and you look at their body language. You can actually listen to someone who says nothing and is walking across a field, the floor, the way they sit, the way they stand. You're still hearing, you're listening to the way they communicate through the body language, through micro expression, right? And you're listening to the silence in between a sentence, because even then there's a message in what is being withheld from you. It's called the unspoken knowing. Okay? Let's continue. Reflective and respectful listening is a healing method in modern psychotherapy too. Deep listening opens up to truth without words and their logical meaning. It is the way the soul hears in a deeper way beyond words. The heart is capable of recognizing what is needed and realizing healing outcomes through care and presence. When you listen with your heart, you have an intuitive ability to recognize the truth of the spirit. Deep listening is a tool of the shamanic soul. It is the ability to hear not only human words, but more subtle and profound meaning, the languages of animals and plants, and communication from the spiritual dimensions of stars, planets, ancestors, and spiritual guardians. The shamanic soul recognizes that the entire universe is singing a love song that can be comprehended by an awkward heart. That's funny how I said awkward. It was actually awakened. That's a Freudian slip here. Comprehended by an awakened heart. Comprehended by an awkward heart. You know, that was no accident. The shamanic soul recognizes that the entire universe is singing a love song that can be comprehended by an awkward heart that in time will become awakened. In other words, you don't have to be fully awakened to listen. You can be awkward in the beginnings of you learning how to listen. And in realizing I'm not ready yet, that here you are being awakened, and not like second guessing that, well, I'm awkward, I don't feel comfortable, I don't know enough, I don't know if I'm ready to do this. Being awakened is awkward in this world. Yes, it is. Amen to that. Aho. Through the power of their inner experiences, the shaman can create spiritual wisdom for the community, bringing balance and unity between spirit and earth. As one who holds shamanic potential, part of your soul journey is to seek out deeper meaning. Never assume that the whole truth is revealed in what is said. Instead, listen carefully for the truth of what is not being said, but is communicating in other ways. Others will naturally be drawn to you for counsel, so ensure that loving wisdom is the source through which your guidance is gleaned. The shamanic life path involves mastery over extremes. The shamanic soul may progress through energetic highs, followed by crushing fatigue, feeling taxed beyond mental and physical limits. Near-death experience, a symbolic death of the personality, a profound challenge of mind or body, or a period of spiritual darkness that eventually leads to a healing rebirth. Such challenges are a form of initiation that teach the soul to consciously contain and challenge energy, to exercise will instead of being tossed about by the force of the world. It takes time, but eventually the soul learns to live from a place of inner balance and spiritual grounding. A shaman is empowered to guide others through what they have mastered, moderating and containing what is required for healing. Thus, balance is evoked in the lives of those they touch. Shamanic soul training happens through life experiences. It may or may not involve formal instructions in a worldly sense, but in some way, you will be taught and guided by an initiated teacher. Training includes the experience of altered states of consciousness so that your soul can expand beyond the restrictions of everyday reality and feel genuinely connected and supported by a vaster spiritual reality. Altered states can include intuition, visions, hearing messages from spirit, and an inability to recognize and integrate signs of higher consciousness. These experiences are preparation for managing forces that are not visible to most, yet have a palpable effect in the minds and hearts of many souls. Your altered states fulfill their intended purpose when they bring healing, when it is the right time for you. Spirit will bring you the necessary guides and teachers in the spiritual and the physical world so that you can learn how to safely enter into and ground out of expanded states of awareness. This learning will increase your ability to hear and channel healing and inspired guidance. Trust that your heart will recognize your true teachers, who are not always those claiming to be your true teachers, as you fully participate in your unfolding journey with trust. Wow, that was intense. And as I was reading this, I was told by my guides I need to do a tarot reading for you guys. I don't know why, but I'm going to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a tarot reading. We need to know what's up, because as I was finishing it up, that was the message I got, okay? So the tarot reading is going to be about the collective, and it's going to be about you. We're not going to ask about the twin yet, but you can vote on that in a minute. Right now, we need to look at the collective of you, okay? So it's not an individual reading at all. It's a collective. And it's for you if you're here. If you're not here, or if you come across this on YouTube, when I upload that, it's for you, or else you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be listening to this. And it's timeless, because messages come when we're ready, okay? So I'm shuffling the cards. I need you guys to give your angels, guides, and allies permission to guide you in this particular reading. And when you feel the energy, I want you to pick right, left, or middle, and the majority will get it. I usually don't do this. I pick it myself, but today I feel, and the first three people that pick right, left, or middle, I'll go with the majority. Okay? When you're ready, let's do it. All right. Middle, left, right, left. I'm going with left. Okay, perfect. Left, perfect. Got it. Left, perfect. Okay, 5 of Swords. Five of Swords is conflict, and it's conflict. It could be fighting, it could be conflict, but definitely mental conflicts. Into the Eight of Cups sideways. Eight of Cups sideways is you want to walk away, but you can't. It's been stagnated. Into the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. There's something about independence. Nine of Cups, Nine of Pentacles are cards of independence. Cups are very emotional. It's all about the emotional landscape. Recent past, Two of Wands, stagnation. The world is in your hand. You're not moving. King of Cups is the foundation of this reading, which is, again, the King of Cups, Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer energy. It's emotion. It doesn't have to be a sun sign at all. It doesn't need to mean that. But it's the foundation. Crowning the reading, Eight of Pentacles is a learning curve. You have not mastered something. You and whoever you were thinking about, there's a lack of mastery. In other words, mastery of what? Anything. Mastery of self, mastery of trusting yourself, mastery of allowing your soul to take control so that your monkey mind isn't the boss of your journey in this incarnation, right? So Eight of Pentacles is learning that. Five of Swords is conflict. Eight of Cups sideways means nothing's moving forward. Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. Four of Wands, 11, you're on the right track. It is the twin flame, it's known as the twin flame card. 11, Four of Wands is marriage, a celebration, a home. It's beautiful. King of Pentacles is in the 7th position, which is interesting because when you look at King of Pentacles, you're looking at a grounded, fatherly, generous energy. And it's actually in your area. It's actually you. And so you might be putting on the masculine, mask, but it's not gender specific. However, I'm getting that it is somewhat gender specific. It's stepping into your masculine energy with generosity and grounded energy. Again, King of Pentacles is Capricorns, Taurus, and Virgo energy. Ace of Swords is speaking the truth and cutting things out. And in the area of what you fear to experience or what you hope to experience is Two of Pentacles. It's juggling. Two of Pentacles is I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I've got some other duties. I'm not sure. I'm stagnant. So I'm not making a decision, but I'm juggling a lot of things. Last card, Ace of Pentacles, is a new beginning. So what's cool about this reading so far is you got two aces. Ace of Swords, speak the truth. Cut away shit that no longer matters, right? Get things done. Purge whatever needs to be purged. Speak the truth. Be honest with yourself. It's also something that is going to happen in your outside environment. Ace of Pentacles is a brand new beginning in the material world. And so let's keep going. Let me go ahead and clarify. Bear with me, okay? Actually, let me get my other deck. Bear with me. So I'm going to clarify some of these cards because I want to know why. Why is the Five of Swords here? Because that Eight of Cups, Eight of Pentacles, that's 8-8, by the way, on the side note. Why is there 8-8? And it's like unfinished business, at the end of the day. Why is the Five of Swords here? Five of Swords is mental conflict. The devil steps in. Devil is Capricorn energy. It's toxic. It's looping. It's just fucked up energy. Four Cups is refusing an opportunity. Eight of Wands. Now you've got 8-8-8. You've got Eight of Pentacles, Eight of Wands, Eight of Cups. Eight of Wands is fast-moving energy. It's also distant. It's also messages. Why is the Eight of Pentacles here? Three of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Swords. You can't make this shit up at all. So your cards in Eight of Pentacles, remember, Eight of Pentacles is non-mastery, right? Eight of Pentacles is apprenticage, right? You're apprenticing to in other words, your ego is become the apprentice to your soul, right? Something of that nature, right? But what's amazing is though there's this toxic energy, crowning the energy, Three of Pentacles, Ace of Sword, which is being reflected in the foundational reading, is mastery of material success based on truth. Being honest, okay? Let's keep going. Eight of Cups, why is that happening? Eight of Cups is sideways, nothing is moving forward. Six of Swords moving into calmer water, so there's a shift happening. 10 of Swords, a betrayal. Five of Pentacles, feeling homeless. That is really crazy. What they're saying is in other words, sometimes people, remember, Eight of Cups is moving into something more. Eight of Cups is somebody who says, I have 8 cups. I want a 9 of Cups and I want a 10 of cups. And then the 8 of cups sideways means I'm not going anywhere. And it's saying if you feel like doing nothing is going to give you 6 of swords, which is moving into calmer waters and getting your peace, you're sadly mistaken. Because what will happen is a 10 of swords to the 5 of pentacles, which means 10 of swords is a betrayal of yourself, 10 swords in the back, but it's you doing it to you, into the 5 of pentacles, which will make you feel like shit. You'll go, fuck. So what they're saying is, don't hesitate. Boom. Because if you don't, you go right into 9 of cups. 9 of cups is wish fulfillment. We like that. Into the, into the 4 of wands. Why is the 9 of cups here? 9 of cups to the 6 of cups. To the page of wands. To the 8 of cups again. Somebody's cycling here. Okay, somebody's cycling. The good news is that the 9 of cups wish fulfillment is fabulous. But the 6 of cups is, I have such good memories. Number 1, we have past life together. Number 2, 6 of cups, we're coming back together. Let me go ahead and message this person. Page of wands, right? Let me message this person. And here comes the 8 of cups, walking away. Walking away or walking towards? 9 of swords. The chariot. Ace of pentacles. You're getting a lot of material successes and beginnings. But the problem is that there's a hesitation going on in communicating what you need. And when, so you'll get to a place where you'll go, okay, I'm feeling good. I'm excited. I believe in that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to communicate what I want. I'm going to manifest what I want. I'm going to tell people who I love that I love them, or I'm going to breach the chasm between, no contact to contact. And guess what? 9 of swords is anxiety. I can't sleep, but I'm not sure I'm going to have this. I don't think I'm going to communicate to them. It happens really fast. Chariot is distance and Cancer energy. And it's like, I'm not going to do this. And then suddenly something comes towards you. And again, a new beginning arises. Ace of Pentacles. Tell me more about the Ace of Pentacles, please. Bear with me. Tell me more about the Ace of Pentacles, please. This is really interesting. Don't loop. Death, transformation, 5 of swords. Fighting. Okay, here's the deal. Stop looping. Okay, stop being afraid. You have nothing to worry about. Okay? Because what happens is 9 of swords comes in to preclude you from actually doing what you felt, what felt good. 9 of cups to the 6 of cups to the page of wands, right? You're like, yeah, I feel good. I'm going to do this. I'm going to call this person, or I'm going to communicate with them, or whatever. And then you go into anxiety, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to keep going with my life. And then death comes. That's not good. Violent transformation, right? 5 of swords, conflict, to fight. And then here comes the tower. And the tower is a collapse. Tell me more about the collapse. Is it because the person who's asking the question is hesitating? 6 of swords. Yeah, all you want is peace. All you want is higher. You want peace. 6 of swords. You want to get away from, you want to run from issues. You want to not feel. You want just to feel, peace, contentment, whatever. The Hierophant is also wanting tradition. The Hierophant is connected to the highest level of Taurus energy, but it's also about spiritual values. It's about, moral values. It's about tradition. It's about marriage. It's about commitment. It's about all that. The Wheel of Fortune is turning. And it's like, it's weird too, I wish I had known that like 30, 40 years ago, where it's like, fucking whatever the hell you want, just do. Who gives a shit? Because if it's not meant to be, right? And you call or you send a message, or you really do you're like, you know what? On my deathbed, I don't want to regret not ever doing it. So let me fucking just write a letter, mail it, and fuck it. We'll see what happens, right? With that attitude. You'll never regret doing it, even if they never answer. Who gives a shit? Because if it's not meant to, believe me, it's not going to happen. And if it's meant to happen, they will actually have the compassion, the elegance, the integrity to go, this is not, thank you for the letter, or thank you for the message. You're fabulous. It's not for me, or I'm not ready for you yet, or when I'm ready, I'll let you know. Or there would be a response. People who are running, who are cowardly, won't respond at all. They won't say anything. Nothing. For years. And then one day, they'll connect with you. And I know that why? Because I've experienced it myself. Okay? So what they're saying is that do what you feel. And make sure you're feeling it from your heart, not from your ego. Let it not be a desperate, clinging energy that propels you to make a move to communicate with anyone. I don't care if it's your twin. I don't care if it's a high-level soul. It doesn't matter what it is. Or a job or a business move or whatever. Make sure it's from the heart and not the egoic, grasping energy. Does that make sense? And then you'll be fine. But if it's coming from fear, yeah, you're gonna drown. You're just gonna drown because you're gonna. It's almost like running. You want to jump to the other side of a river, right? And so you're on a horse and you're gonna just drive that horse and you're gonna leap over and you're visualizing, and then suddenly at the last minute you literally pull on the reins and you and the horse skid right into the river. That's the image I just got. If you're gonna do this, make sure you've done the proper inner reflection. Make sure you've tapped into your source for deeper guidance. Make sure it's a hell yes from the heart chakra, not from the mind, the monkey mind. You can't trust that for nothing. And when that is real and you know it's a divine download, at that point, then go ahead and go for it. Just do it. Why is the Four of Wands here? Four of Wands to the Four of Swords. So yeah, when you hesitate, what could have been the Four of Wands, which is connection, divine union with source, with your goal, your desire, will turn into Four of Swords. Four of Swords is almost like healing from a broken heart. It's reflection. Seven of Wands is defensive energy. Five of Pentacles, here we go again with the Five of Pentacles, feeling homeless. You know, sometimes your twin or whoever we're talking about, or people you're trying to convince to do X, Y, and Z, you can't convince them. You can't lead them to understanding the value of the connection with you, with the soul bond that you have. And so I'm not saying don't feel what you're feeling, but make sure it doesn't destroy you to the point where you are defensive, and then you are, your twin's defensive, or you're defensive, or both of you are, clashing, and it makes you feel like shit. It makes you feel like five of Pentacles, which we're seeing this twice now. And that's not good, only because, if you come to try to communicate with someone who's shut down with expectation, you're going to get hurt. If you come to communicate with someone who is shut down, who is a high level, strong, soul connected, being with you, albeit whether it's a high level soulmate or a twin flame or whatever, right? If you go out with no expectation, it's going to feel like nothing. It's going to hurt, but it's not going to decimate you, which is what I see here. King of Pentacles, why is it here? Ten of Wands, carrying burdens. Ten of Swords upside down, burdens have been dropped into the Page of Pentacles, communication. Why is the Ace of Swords here, please? Ace of Swords is speaking the truth, judgment, something dead coming back to life. That means the connections that are meant, that are strong, will return. Judgment is making a judgment call, but most importantly, in truth, in cutting away old habits, old tired habits that you have, that your twin has. Once your expectation becomes more from a place of surrender and not in a fear-filled grasping energy, the judgment comes in, and so something reemerges. So something comes back. So it's a connection that returns. Two of Cups is soulmate, twin flame connections. Four of Cups is something that is obviously being offered, that's being ignored or not seen for what it is. Let me clarify. Why is the Four of Cups doing this? When the hell does it mean? What are they refusing? Four of Pentacles. You can't make this shit up. Four of Pentacles to the Queen of Pentacles to the Three of Wands. King of Pentacles to the Queen of Pentacles. Soulmate connection, twin flames. Into the Two of Cups. Into the Four of Cups. Refusing or ignoring an opportunity. Why? Four of Pentacles. Holding on to miserly concerns, material concerns. It doesn't make sense. It's not logical. It's not time yet. It's holding on to dragged energy. So you're being asked, your twin's being asked, your person's being asked to remove the fat, to drop your burdens, to drop these weird dogmatic ideas of duty. If you listen to this video, this live early on, I talked about a woman with a past life remembrance in my hypnotherapy session with her, and she went against her family. This was like 2,000-3,000 years ago, and her decision positively impacted 5 generations of her lineage. Okay, so what they're saying is, choose truth, choose your heart. Don't be jailed by dogma. Release it. Let go of it. 3 of Wands, the portals have opened. It's time. Tell me more about the Ace of Pentacles, 7 of Cups, confusion, Knight of Swords, fast-moving energy, impulsive energy. 7 of Cups is I'm overwhelmed by my choices. The Ace of Pentacles is here. Why be confused over what? Okay, so the universe is saying, what do you want? Well, I'm confused. I could do this and I could do that. And the universe is saying, what do you want? Do you want low-hanging fruit, easy shit to get that anybody can get? Or do you want to reach on your tippy toes to get what you really want? And your answer to that is the Knight of Swords, which is like this fast-moving, impulsive message, impulsive move, which is going to create the tower. And the tower is a collapse. And why is this happening? Why is the tower collapsing? Tell me more. Judgment. Make a judgment call. 8 of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles to the Knight of Swords. Yeah, this is a reading about looping energy. And the looping energy is because you can chase your twin. You can block your twin, which I don't advise anyone to do that, but that's on a side note. You can ignore your twin. But quite often, I tell my clients, let me ask you this. If your mother, girlfriend, brother, best friend didn't call you for like a month, and you would call, wouldn't you get on the phone and go, or go to their place and go, listen, hang on here. I want to know if you're safe. I want to know if you're okay. You're blocking me or you're not talking to me. And unless it was a fight and it was clearly an ending to the relationship, unless it was something that violently ending, so there's no question about why it ended, right? But let's say your twin stopped just responding one day. Just like your girlfriend would stop responding. You go, wait, hang on. What's happening here? Did she get in a car accident? Is she ill? Do you understand? You would want to know. So I've actually told clients, listen, stop treating your beloved like it's your beloved and treat that person like, I don't know, their friend. And tell them, listen, I'm not trying to harass you, but we were chatting away and then you stopped, like you fell off the planet. Are you okay? Are you sick? I mean, I would ask any of my friends if they weren't doing well. So could you have the courtesy to tell me, are you okay? And I remember one particular client saying, he responded, I said, what do you say? I'm okay. I go, well, there you go. He's okay. He's okay. That's it. So he's being an asshole. That's okay. Well, at least now you know. But you now know that he is shut down. And that, so are you going to pine for someone who's that unable to communicate something like, I'm really sorry I worried you. I'm fine. I'm going through some things. When I'm better, when I'm in a more aligned place, I'll give you a call, right? Or do you want to be with a Neanderthal who literally answers with, I'm just okay. I'm okay. And nothing else. There is a lack of care for another person, right? And with this particular client, I vibrationally could tell that this person was not going through a massive depression. Another client, same scenario, same type of scenario. I said to her, he's going through a massive depression, like he's going through the dark night of the soul. If I were you, when you feel right, go ahead and contact him. And she did. And guess what? He was going through he'd actually tried to unaliven himself. Okay? So the story is different for different twins. You guys are not cookie cutter by any stretch of the imagination. So use your own discernment. Don't start listening to content creators who are using their trauma, right? And kind of putting it on you, right? And you think, well, maybe they know something and I don't because they have 100,000 followers, right? And I don't know anything. This is my only experience with the twin. Don't confuse content creators who literally will block their twin, malign their twin in public, which I've seen people do. You can be pissed at your twin. I've been pissed at my twin. But you don't really want to put your dirty laundry out there, right? At all, okay? Because we all have our own karma. We all have our own triggers. And at the end of the day, you would never block anyone you care about, you love, who loves you, and you know they love you. You know they do, but you know they have other issues. They have emotional issues. They have shadows they haven't been able to deal with. You would never block them. You would leave the door open, because that's the state of forgiveness, and that's the state of grace. The state of anger and vengefulness is to block your twin, block them here, there, and the other. I had one client who said, well, my twin's constantly watching me on social media. I go, let him fucking watch you. Well, but I don't know. I mean, I should block him. Why? Why block him? For what? Well, I mean, why is he watching me but he's not contacting me? Because he doesn't feel worthy of you, or else he'd contact you. Well, why is he watching me? Well, let me ask you, do you think he loves you? Yeah, I think he loves me. Why do you know he loves you? Well, because when we would make love, when we were together, he would tell me he cared about me. He never felt that way before. Did you believe him? Yes. Why did you believe him? I don't know. It just felt like he was telling me the truth. Well, then trust trust your experience. Trust that what you experienced with this man or this woman, and what they told you in the moments of vulnerable moments, intimate moments, were real. And if they're not communicating to you, but they're watching you on social media, and you know they are, then what does that tell you? That they want to connect with me and know what's going. Yeah, that's right. They want to know what's going on with you. They want to know that you're still around. They want to see your progress. They also want to know if they're going to lose you. There's a part of them that is watching to see if somebody better. In some aspects, they actually feel like maybe you're better off without them. They actually honestly believe that. And that's a very depressed, very self-destructive belief system. But a lot of people have it. And so let them watch you. Let them hunger for you. Let them want to see you. Let them, to a point where I had one client whose twin called her and said, I don't know what it is. I can't stop thinking about you. I don't know what the hell this is. I want to, do you want to meet with me? Can we just meet? And they did. They did. And they talked. And they made love. And then he ran again. And she went, well, he ran again. I go, well, I hope to God you took my advice and gave him X, Y, and Z. And she went, so half of them will say, yeah, that's exactly what I did. And half of them will say, no, I didn't do that. I talked about why he run in the first place and this and that. And I say, why would you take that time to make love, to talk about shit that you already had hammered out and nothing ever came? Why didn't you talk to the person about new ideas, new concepts, new understandings? Why didn't you do that? Well, I wasn't thinking. I was really emotional. I really wanted answers. He's never going to give you those answers, because those answers come from a realized, self-realized place and a place of radical honesty, and he's not there. So first you got to have him spiritually evolved to then come to you and say, I'm really sorry, Jennifer. I fucked up. And I did X, Y, and Z, but, I read some of the books you gave me, and I did some of the things you said, and I've been really thinking about it and meditate. I started meditating like you told me to do, and I started really realizing who you are to me. And I don't know, can we talk more about this? Can you tell me what else you know about this and souls and these incarnations and karma, and what is this? Those are the conversations you want to have with a twin that comes back. Not, why are you still with your karmic? Why did you choose her over me? Why did you get her pregnant? Why did you cheat on me? Why did you block me? Why? Those questions will never be answered from a person who is wounded and broken and dishonest with themselves, much less you. If they can't be honest with themselves, how the hell are they going to be honest with you? That's impossible. So that's what you have to understand. And that's what most twin coaches don't understand. They're constantly talking the shit about, you should block them. You should like block them from all of that. Just, no contact, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, then you don't love your twin. Because if you loved your twin, the last thing you'd want is for them not to know that the door is always open. Not because you're a welcome mat, because you're not a welcome mat, but because you are healed enough to be so transcendental that there's no expectation that because the door is open, they're going to stay. You already know they're most likely they won't stay. You already know. In fact, you can tell them, I know that you're here, but I'm pretty sure you're going to run again. Oh, I won't. Yeah, you will. Unless you do what you need to do, you're going to run again. And you're going to run because you're afraid of yourself. See, I'm not the problem. You got to look at yourself. And sometimes I tell my clients, how many times has he run? Oh, well, it's been 5 times. 5 times. Okay. Yeah, no more sex. No more sex. Yeah, no more sex. Well, why? Why? Because as long as he thinks that it's the sex that's bringing him back to you, because he's so in 3D that he feels that the sex is so good that it's the reason why he comes back to you. He can articulate to himself, it's got to be the sex. So he has sex with you again, and of course it blows his mind again. And at some point, he's going to think that's what it is. When you remove sex off the table, suddenly it's not the sex. And he's gone for 6 months to 9 months to a year. And he still can't stop thinking about you. It's not because of the sex. Because it wasn't on the table anymore. It's you. And at that point, when a masculine or feminine realizes, oh my God, I can't, I can't, it's been, they start waking up. They start realizing that this is something else. And things start actually changing for the better. Does that make sense? But, I have clients who literally can't help themselves, and I totally understand. Sometimes it takes years, years and years for them to realize, maybe I should, but again, this is for twin flames, okay? This is not a twin, none of this is a twin flame issue, okay? Don't compare twin rays with twin flames. When you're looking at twin flames on Quora, right? And they say, well, if it's your twin flame, they'll never run, they'll never do this, they'll never do that. Yeah, no, that's a twin ray, okay? And there aren't that many out there. There aren't that many evolved souls, both of the masculine and the feminine, who are that evolved, that are out there, that are twin rays. There aren't that many. So when you read stuff on Quora or other content creators who are talking about how twin flames are this and that, and it's like a Ken and Barbie story, that is a twin ray story they're talking about, not a twin flame. And those content creators, I can tell you, are not twin rays, or else they would tell you, I'm a twin ray. And when you get to the level of being a twin ray, that will be your experience. You'll graduate from being a twin flame to a twin ray, and that will be your experience. You will understand this. You will become so transcendental that even if your twin ray is across the world, doing whatever, right? Raising kids, whatever, you will always be in contact with your twin ray. You will never be in separation too long, but you'll always be in union. Whereas twin flames, it's one fuckery after another. It's all egoic based fuckery, And twin rays don't chase, they don't run. And twin rays are in perfect balance with each other. And they're just, some twin rays are actually at the infancy of being twin rays. and which means they're way more advanced than we are as twin flames, on the side note, but still. And they're finishing up a couple contracts with other people, other souls, right? Whereas twin flames, there's massive healing that needs to happen. Now, can you go from a twin flame to a twin ray in one incarnation? Absolutely. That's our opportunity is now. We can actually do it. Some of us will attain that. And some of us won't even attain union with our twin flame. We'll be in separation for a whole incarnation. Not because you're failing, you are failing, but because your twin doesn't feel worthy. Just like ascension will happen to many people, yet there will be people who are better than you and I are, and they will not attain ascension. They will not cross the rivers, not because they're not valid, they're not beautiful people, they don't feel worthy. They have not forgiven themselves. They hold on to regrets like rocks in a backpack. Whereas people like you and me are doing the work of shadow work, self-forgiveness, forgiving others, asking for forgiveness from others spiritually or literally, face to face, and healing those contracts, rewriting these contracts, ending these contracts. And we're doing such massive work, and we're getting so connected with ourselves and our worthiness and our importance as individuals that we will be able to cross the river to the ascension. You know what I mean? Whereas some fantastic people won't because of their lack of self-worth. It's actually sad. Honestly, it's really, really sad. Okay? So when you're looking at this reading I just did, I see the looping. I see the Nine of Swords, which is anxiety, second guessing. You're coming into your mojo, your power, then you're second guessing again because I don't want to chase. You're not chasing. You're sitting in a meditation, and suddenly it hits you that your twin's not doing well. Trust that. In 2023, I can't tell you how many twin flames, usually women, came to me on these lives saying my twin unalived themselves. And I hope to God none of you are on this live right now who came to me last year to say that to me, because I'm about to say something and I really don't want you to listen to this. I hope to God you're not listening to this. But some of you who weren't connecting with your twin because you were running or what have you, whatever was happening, or maybe they ran from you and you were chasing and you decided, fuck this, I'm going to block them and this and that. And you refused to listen to your own heart telling you that something was wrong because you had girlfriends and well-meaning friends who were giving you their 2 cents and you didn't listen. Those of you who did not listen, unfortunately, and your twin ended up coming up unalived by addiction, by whatever, those are the ones who have not been able to forgive themselves, to transcend the relationship from the physical body into the transformed state of their twin. Those are the ones who are really suffering because they know they didn't pick up that call, or they know they had blocked the phone. They know they had blocked the energy, and they know they had been influenced by other people. Don't ever block your twin unless he's a sociopath, at which point, block away, my friend, block away. I'm not here to have women or men abused by any human being. I don't give a shit if it's a twin. However, if you know that your twin is dealing with massive demons, right? And a lot of shadows and darkness and trauma, and you know that they love you, and you know that they are in cycles that they can't get out of, and you know they're addicted, keep that fucking door open so that you can be the lantern, you can be the light, and you don't have to meet them. You can say, you know what, let's talk for a few hours on the phone, let's go FaceTime, let's just talk, and let's listen to this thing on Dr. Joe Dispenza, let's do this meditation together. Or if they're bereft in massive dark night of the soul, you can say, I was there when you wouldn't talk to me, I actually went through what you're going through, and it was triggered, not to make them feel guilty, but to let them know you went through that, one, and two, because of the separation with your twin. Let them know. Don't say the word twin. You're my twin. Say, when you decided to not talk to me, it launched me into a massive depression, and it feels to me like you're going through something similar. And I really want to understand what triggered you to this state of consciousness. What happened? And it could be anything. It could be the death of a sibling, of a parent, God forbid, of a child or a best friend. And that put them into a state of fear of death. And fear of their own self-worth, fear of where's my life going, and what am I supposed to do, and what is this point of these incarnations, and what is my path in this incarnation, right? So that can push someone into the dark night of the soul, in addition to actually connecting with you and knowing you, and the denial of you, them denying what they feel for you, denying the magic, denying the downloads, holding on to 3D logic with, ferocious stubbornness. That can actually, the universe can pull the rug under their feet and go, yeah, fuck this, you're not listening. So we're just going to give you a tower moment. We're going to have you lose your job or get in a car accident, and that'll be that. And that can happen. Or a DUI if they're addicted to whatever, right? And then suddenly they have to face those demons, which launches them into the dark night of the soul, and boom, they call you in a moment of weakness, maybe through liquid courage or whatever, and your phone's not blocked. See, the twin flame journey isn't just about being in union, having the intimacy, dreaming about life together. The twin flame journey is about all these shadows never excavated in multiple hundreds of incarnations, and all culminating in that moment where they're going through a trauma of this incarnation. In their mind, it's this incarnation. In their mind, their addictions stem from this incarnation, not past incarnations. And you're able to talk to them in a very down-to-earth manner in the beginning, and little by little spoon-feeding them more esoteric ideas that they will more likely absorb as you guide them out of the shadows of their own demons, of 3D logic, and becoming more and more curious about the path to their own healing and freedom, and explaining to them the concept of the monkey mind. Some people actually still, do you realize how advanced you are? You actually know what the monkey mind is. You know what the false ego can do and what it can't do, and how it's harmful to people. It's hurt people. And you know about this. So, I mean, it's like great that you could actually talk to your 3D twin and speak to them about it. Twin rays, just so you know, so you have a contrast. Twin rays, the masculine and the feminine, are highly spiritually evolved. They read these books that maybe your twin flame would never read. Maybe your twin flames never even write a whole novel. Or maybe they only read nonfiction, self-help, how to make money, or they read fiction, I don't know, whatever, right? Twin rays are incredibly spiritually mature and ravenous for information. In twin flame journeys, one twin flame will have a higher degree of interest and commitment to educating themselves in the metaphysical and for a deeper spiritual understanding and so forth, whereas one twin flame will be completely illiterate in those esoteric concepts. You know what I'm saying? So that's also the difference, okay? And so your job in this incarnation might simply be to spoon feed your twin, and eventually your twin will get triggered and awakened. A lot of twins are going to be awakened, during this period. That doesn't mean that you're going to come into union. I'm talking about awaken. And as they get awakened, then they have to do the shadow work, which will take some time, right? And then eventually, you could be in union. And your story could be that you're in union within a year. And some people's stories could be that they're in union within 10 years. Everyone's different. And it has a lot to do with the free will of the monkey mind. So the point is, the sooner the monkey mind of your twin is seen for what it is, as an energy that needs to be trained and controlled through chanting, through meditation, through higher learning, spiritual learning, the more likely you're going to get your twin into closer connection and lasting union with you. As long as you complain and you play petty games of blocking, unblocking, and why did you leave me? Why did you choose her? If you keep rehashing the old fucking arguments, like let's say this is your third or fifth running chasing, and you're still trying to figure out why they did X, Y, and Z, which is a mundane question that will never be answered by a twin who's in denial of their own toxic behaviors, and you keep actually thinking you're going to get an answer, asking the same fucking question again and again, you're wasting your time. You're wasting the opportunity the universe has given you to be in temporary union with your twin while you spoon feed them knowledge to get off and start self-educating themselves. And some of you might say, well, my twin will never read, and he'll never do this, and she'll never do that, and never, never, never. And I can tell you that maybe that would have been true in the 70s and 80s, but I can tell you that the timeline we live in right now, in the 21st century, and in the last, I'd say 7 to 8 years, what was impossible, say 20 years ago, is not impossible now. So people are doing 180s, okay? And they're doing it within a year. I know this for a fact because I've had clients literally tell me, I was asleep until February of this year. February of this year was like what? Damn near almost 2 months, not even 2 months ago. I'm not kidding. I've had clients tell me I've been awake since, March of last year. That's like a year. So if you had told this client 2 years ago that they'd be listening and talking and seeking guidance from people like me, they would have looked at you like you had lost your mind. And yet here they are, talking to people like me. And that means that can be your twin. So your job also is to visualize your twin awake as if they're awake now. You don't say, I can't wait till John Blow wakes up. You say, John is completely awake. He's actually so curious. He loves the books I turn him on to. We read these books together, actually. Like I'll read them out loud to him, and we'll have discussions about it. Like you should be actually writing this down in a 369 project system that you have in place. I'm not kidding. When you want something really bad enough, you'll fucking do it. You'll do whatever it takes. So do the right things, okay? Do the right acts. If you want to get in shape, right, and you're really serious about it, you're not going to just take a walk every day, right? You're going to go sprinting. You're going to go swimming. You're going to go lifting weights, or you're going to do yoga, and you are going to do it, 6 to 7 days a week, right? You're going to do cold plunges, sauna, stuff like that, right? You're not going to just take a little stroll for 20 minutes every day and expect miracles, right? So if you want to make massive changes on something, right, write it down. That's what Tony, I forgot his fucking name. What's his name? Tony Robbins talks about. Writing, vision boards, writing, it works. I'm going to read something that I wrote on my birthday, okay? I wrote this on my birthday. I happen to have it on my keyboard, but I'm going to say it. So my birthday in 2021. It says, Happy birthday, dear. You are worthy of love, health, and wealth. You're being around light beings all the time. You now own a beautiful house with lands, yurts, and lotus tents. You have a wonderful, loving relationship with your son and your twin. You are healing, abundant, and you work with other light beings. Guess what? Here I am on the heels of my, next birthday, literally 3 years later. And I've accomplished almost all of these goals. Not all of them. I don't have yurts. I don't have a lotus tent, but I have the land and I have the house. And I have a wonderful relationship with my son and my twin. And I meet fabulous people like you. So I've actually accomplished this. But to accomplish the house and other things, I did a 369 for like 30 days. It works. We're not here to tell you things that don't work. Vision boards work. I had a friend who wanted to go to Italy and Ireland, and she just did it on a vision board. And a year later, yeah, it took a year, she was there. She was living, her vision board became her reality. So whatever it takes for you to get to where you need to go with your twin, but the key aspect of manifesting is present tense always present tense, and always massive, massive joyous feelings around it. You can't be like depressed and go, I'm always happy. It's not going to work. You got to be happy. And you got to say, I'm always abundant. I always win. Do you always win? Fuck no. Of course you don't always win. There's certain things you shouldn't win. It's not even good for you to win. Right? So instead of being unhappy when you don't win every time, you say, thank you, universe. I know that you are wise, and I know that you have my best in mind. And I didn't get this deal, or I didn't get this situation. And I'm grateful. I know something else is coming, and I trust this process. I trust it with my entire heart. A great book to read that you may want to read again and again and again, which I always recommend to do with when you're brainwashing yourself out of dogma and entrenched false ideas and perceptions of what you deserve and what you don't deserve and what you can accomplish and can't accomplish, would be to read certain books again and again to brainwash yourself out of that shit. But the book I would say to get, which I've referred like 50 people to that book, and I'm going to start referring people again. It's called Mind Power into the 21st Century by John Kehoe. Kehoe is spelled Kehoe, and it's John, I believe. But it's called Mind Power into the 21st Century. And he talks about the universe being a holographic universe. And he talks about how emotions are more important than affirmations. And I 100% agree. I love Louise Hay. She's the queen of affirmations. And what she was teaching in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s, she's actually the queen of self-help with the Hay House publishing house that she created. But what I understand with affirmations is that affirmations don't work. They really don't, unless the emotions behind the affirmations are like fucking amazing. Like you're feeling what it feels like to have this experiences, and you're feeling it as if it's happening now, and you're imagining what that looks like, what that feels like in your heart, and how it's impacting people you love, right? And when you get into this state of bliss and a state of receiving to that level of high levels of gratitude and joy and trust that, you know, even though you're saying, I have it, I'm so grateful I have it, you're not worried and looking over your shoulder going, well, when is it coming? Are we there yet? You're just trusting the timing. You're not concerned with the timing. You're not concerned when it's coming. You know that you've done the work. You know that you've placed your order, and you know that your intention is there. And that you don't have to keep reordering it again and again and again and again. That's from a place of doubt and lack. Anyway, so that's going to be it for me. Do you have any questions at all regarding any of it? Any question? Somebody said, I'm still not awakened. Well, what does that mean to be awakened? See, no one's fully awakened, because as you progress through the stages of self-realization, right? So, for example, you believe in reincarnation. You've already mastered that. Great. For you, it's like, of course I believe in it. What the hell? Of course. But see, you haven't mastered understanding that you're a transcendental and multidimensional light being. You haven't understood that because you don't know that you can have concurrent incarnations. You can't still wrap your head around that one, right? So that would be a challenge in the a state of awakened. A state of awakening, knowing that you can have concurrent incarnations, would be something like you not realizing that you can be in multiple, you could have an incarnation in Italy while you're having one here, right here as you are. And then you could have somebody you really love passing over. And not only are you having your life here as Sharon, here, you're having a life in Italy, but your mom's crossing over and you're going, hey, mom, and you're on the other side, greeting her with the other soul group. But you can't wrap your head around that yet. That doesn't mean you're not awakened. It means that you're not at that level yet to understand that, because your 3D brain still needs more time to transform itself. And also in its transformation, it needs to let go of being the boss of you, because the soul has to be the boss of you. In other words, the soul has to be the one who's in charge. And as long as your monkey mind is in charge, you're going to have a really hard time understanding massively esoteric ideas. Like, for example, having more than one twin flame. That fucking, if I don't lose 10 people right now, I'll be shocked. Because some people, honestly, they'll say, yes, I understand I could have a concurrent incarnation. Well, if you can have a concurrent incarnation, that means your twin can, right? Yes, that's right. My twin can have a concurrent incarnation. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, I don't know what that means. There, bingo, you don't know what that means. So, and that's okay. So as you progress through your ability to control your false ego, and your soul becomes the master of your ship, and you're getting really good with chanting and working on your chakras and getting grounded again and again, and trusting and being blown away by miracles time and time again, and synchronicities and new experiences, and attracting light beings into your life, meaning people in the physical world who are of light, who actually are seeking what you seek, who want what you want in life, in this, in these incarnations. And you have these really wonderful conversations with them. More and more you'll be seeded. And what's seeded is going to take maybe a 7-year journey before there's fruit on those trees that you've planted in your subconscious and conscious mind. So you have to be very patient with yourself. And so it's not a problem not to be awakened, because some people will say things like, it's funny, I hear people saying, oh, I've got my kundalini awakened. Your kundalini gets awakened multiple stages of your evolution, because if you're full on in kundalini was fully awakened, some people don't do too well. They go kind of cuckoo, they go crazy, because it's a lot of energy that's exploding out of a body that's not ready. It's kind of like asking a little infant, a little 4-month-old, to have a Thanksgiving dinner. That's not going to work. The kid's going to choke. So and not survive that experience. So what you want to understand is that as you evolve more and more into your awakening, into knowing how to control the monkey mind, you will actually get more knowledge, more downloads. You'll get more discernment. You'll understand the difference between corrupt downloads and real downloads. You'll actually blow your own mind, because you'll know, I'm not that smart. I mean, I'm smart, but not that smart. And you'll get downloads that are so bloody amazing. You'll go, holy shit, this is like... And the more that happens, the more it will happen. And the more it happens, the more it will happen again, because you won't gaslight yourself. And because you don't give a fuck what people think about you anymore. You're no longer trying to convince people that you're not crazy. As you go through the ascension, it will no longer be a problem, because you will start realizing, I really don't need these people in my life if they're going to prevent me from waking up. Like, I seriously don't need these people. And you will start becoming very careful about who you bring into your personal life. You will not just let people come in. And you'll get little red flags, but because you're loving, you'll ignore them, because that's just how you're wired. You're a good person. You give people the benefit of the doubt. And then as you progress in this incarnation, as you wake up more and more, you'll go, yeah, those little red flags aren't just fucking little red flags. They're little red flags that are politely telling you, do you really want to proceed with this relationship? Or maybe you should just stop it right here. And sometimes for whatever reason, we need a lesson. And then we go, fuck, I should have listened to that little red flag. Damn it, here I am. It's okay, though. It's all good. So ultimately, you need to be very compassionate and patient with yourself. The book I would read is called The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley, where he is actually on mescaline and LSD. He was a big fan of LSD. He wrote the books Brave New World and Brave New World Revisited. And he wrote The Doors of Perception, which Jim Morrison named The Doors, the band The Doors, after that book. You should read it. It's 148 or 152. I forgot the pages, but it's a short novella. And in it, you realize how the funnel of the mind opens and expands under plant medicine and how it closes right after, the medicine has dissipated through your body, and how you're able to understand very wonderful things that easily digestible from an expanded point of view, and then suddenly it just collapses and you're like, wait, hang on, I thought I understood everything and now it's gone. And that's actually what he writes about. Actually, he's not writing it, he's under the influence, to be honest, and they're documenting what he's saying, his assistant, his wife, whatever. So it's an interesting perception, because then it makes you understand why some people, seekers of the ego death, go for bufo and they go for things like that. You also have people who actually go into retreats for 10 days. There's a particular retreat, you could look it up, I forgot what it's called, where you go into a retreat and for 10 days you do not speak. You're in an absolute silence. It's a vow of silence. If I could do it, meaning if I had the 10 days to do it, I would fucking do it. When I can do it, I will do that. But the benefits of that is that as you go within, in silence, you're going to have massive awakenings, massive downloads, massive understandings, massive purging. It's extraordinary experience. I highly recommend it. If you have the ability to take 10 days away from your environment and the people you love, I highly recommend it. I've only heard really good things about it, and it will help in your awakening, yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Let me see what else. All right, so any other questions or comments before I go? Any other comments or questions? Anything at all? Any shares? Has anyone ever done those kinds of retreats? No? Okay. So I think we're good. I wanted to thank you all for being here. I will upload the Atlantis video tonight. I'm going to do that right away. The Atlantis video will be uploaded on my YouTube channel, Sacred Intimacy Tarot. You can go on my profile page on the Linktree. I also uploaded an oracle reading on the Diamond Tiger to the Black Moon. You may want to read that. I think if you're attracted by that, please read it. Or rather listen to it. What else did I want to tell you? Yeah, and then also this right here about unconditional love and dark love. I'll upload that. And but definitely listen to the Atlantis thing. That's going to be really important. That was I thought this was a really important live. And I think I'm going to get more into doing more about Atlantis, because this is our collective trauma that we all need to forgive ourselves and heal. All right, my loves, thank you so much for your time. Sending you much love on your journey. Namaste. Be well.